But there you have it, nice 3/8 hex on our 100% shop made front axle. Hey, good morning everybody, welcome back. Just a quick update. Last video we mentioned we were going to be stopping making these, and I had a lot of feedback, a couple friends of mine, and anyway, long story short, I'm going to keep at it. I enjoy making them, I enjoy sharing what I'm doing, and you know, if I enjoy it, there's really no reason. The costs, you know, tend to get out of hand a little bit here and there, but we'll deal with that and keep plugging away. So anyway, I'm a nut job. If you guys hadn't figured that out by now, you hadn't been watching for very long. I definitely make decisions sometimes in the heat of anger, I guess, and then regret them later. So anyway, I'm working on that in life, and I'm sure you guys don't really care about my mental insanity. So we're going to move on to today's project. We're going to be back on the fresh build, the GS1100 bobber build. Don't have a lot of time today, but I wanted to get in here and number one, finish up the front axle. We got our rotary broach tool for the lathe, so we'll get the front axle finished. Then we'll mock-up assemble the whole front end again. Brake rotors are here, and we can measure for our brake rotor spacers. And I'd like to try and at least get the lathe work on the brake rotor spacers done today. I don't think we'll get them complete because they're going to have to go into the mill also after the lathe, and I don't think we'll get to all of that. But if we can at least get the lathe work done, I'll be happy. So first things first, we're going to get the front axle finished, and then we'll continue on from there. Alright, so we got our front axle here, and we need to make something on the end here so that we can use a wrench on this. So I elected to make an Allen head in here, so we're going to put this in the lathe. We'll center drill it, we'll drill it, and then we'll use our rotary broach tool to make a hex inside of there for a 3/8 Allen wrench. That'll allow us to loosen and tighten our axle. Alright, so first things first, we're going to use our center drill just to locate. Alright, so here's our rotary broach tool. This spins. Here's our broach cutter. This goes in the tailstock, and we'll plunge it into the hole we just drilled and cut a hex. Really pretty cool tool. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't exactly understand how it works, but from what I can figure out is as it rolls, you're catching just one point at a time and breaking and pushing the chip. But again, it's not 100% clear to me exactly how it works. So let's see if this will focus. But there you have it, nice 3/8 hex on our 100% shop made front axle. So we'll go inside now, mock up this front end, and get some measurements and stuff for our spacers. Alright, so we got our front wheel here and our brake rotors. You can see we got those. They're just kind of sitting on the wheel. I'm going to go ahead and put the front end on now. Awesome. Got our axle in there. Our hex worked out perfectly. So this will just kind of be this is how the front end's going to be when it gets set up. We'll have kind of about this look. I'm thinking like maybe 29 degrees a rake or so, and then our frame will come down from here. So going to be a pretty compact type bike, which is what I want with the big horsepower. It's going to be good to not have a ton of rake on the front end. So this front end was designed for a different kind of build, but overall I think it'll be cool. Obviously we'll have the extra height of the tire, which is maybe 2 inches or something. So should be a nice looking frame setup when we get there. So next thing we got to do is figure out our wheel spacer width. So we'll flip this front end around here. Tighten up this vise a little bit to hold this wheel. And then we've got our calipers, which go. Grab a couple of bolts here. Slide in a couple of mock-up bolts just to keep this located. So this whole setup is a little tricky to get exactly right, but rather than spacing the rotor away, I'm going to try this method of having the caliper sit on the rotor where we want it, and I'm going to measure the center of the hole to the center of the hole, which is giving me an 1.25 inches. So in order to make that a little bit more accurate, I got another method here. So what we'll do is drop one of these here, one of these here, and then I'm going to measure between the bolt heads. Alright, so we got about 500 plus 581, so that's 1 inch 81 thousandths. And when I go with just my center to center measurement, we're getting about between 1 inch 250 and 1 inch 300. So there's a couple different ways to do this, but I'm going to probably go with what I feel is the quickest and easiest. Is I'm going to make the things 1 inch 300 wide, and I can always remove more material off to dial it in perfectly. The other way to do it would be to do some math. So we measure from the inside face of this to the face of the rotor, which gives us 1 inch 664. And then we add to that, let's try this and see how close it gives us to what I eyeball measured. So get my calculator. 1.644 plus, that's 2 inch 114. Gives you from the center of the bolt to the center of the rotor. So then this, from the center of the bolt to the center of the caliper, is 0.837. So if you minus 0.837, that gives you 1 inch 307, which is almost exactly what I had done just eyeballing stuff. So anyway, I don't know if anybody cares about that stuff, but this is how we make up spacers and figure stuff out. So what I'll probably do is go ahead and just make the overall spacer length 1 inch 350. Give me a little bit of wiggle room. These chunks of aluminum are real expensive, and I hate to screw one up and have to buy another piece of material. So I think for now we'll just cut them at 1 inch 350 and start from there. Alright, so we got our big chunk faced off on both sides. Next thing we got to do is cut a nose on it for the rotor to register. Obviously you want your rotor to spin nice and true, so we'll cut a nose this thickness by this diameter, which is 2 inch 685. So you want not a press fit, but a nice snug fit, so it just barely slips on like a clearance fit, and that'll keep your rotor spinning true once it's all bolted to the wheel. And there we go. Nice fit, no real lateral action, it's just a size on size fit. And that's going to work out perfectly for our locating section. So now we will do the same thing to the other one. Well, yeah, I want to just take one. You can't see the face here, I don't believe, but the surface finish on the face is a little bit crusty, so I'll take one quick pass on that just to smooth it out, and then we'll be ready to start the next operation. Alright guys, so that's going to be a wrap for today. I thought I had a piece of tooling I needed to open the centers of these big chunks up, but it didn't arrive on Friday. It's coming tomorrow. So anyway, not a ton of work done today, but we did get our axle finished, which I'm really super happy with. And I love the rotary broach. It's such a cool tool. So we got that done. We got started on our rotor spacers. So not a ton accomplished, but anyway. So I'm just going to do our rundown of our build cost tally like I've been doing. I'm going to keep doing this. So we had these two pieces of 4.5-inch round aluminum. The two pieces were 2 inches long each to start. They cost $65. The brake rotors cost $249 for the pair. These are just some kind of inexpensive import ones. You could spend a ton more. You could spend $500, $600, $700 on rotors. But anyway, our extended rotor bolts, which are these here, 8mm. I needed 10 of those. That's $16. And then you didn't see these today because we didn't get to that portion, but I have some dowel pins which are going to be used instead of the factory brake rotor bolt setup used a shoulder bolt, but because of the extension, we're going to use these dowel pins in and out. So we needed 20 of those. They were $39. And then 2 hours of labor today at $140 an hour is $280. The only other thing that you haven't seen yet, but it arrived this week, as I'm starting to collect all the different parts we need, stuff that's kind of hard to find, is our fuel tank. So this is a Frisco mount, complete 100% cast aluminum fuel tank. These used to be made in Poland. They have since been discontinued. I was lucky enough to find one of these in a group on Facebook. I can't describe this thing really. It weighs probably 35 pounds. It's crazy. It's gotta be, I'm gonna say it's at least 3/16, maybe 1/4 of an inch thick. Crazy heavy duty, really super cool piece. It was $650. So a little bit pricey, but really when you think about what it takes to make it, really probably not that bad. So I thought about making one, but the time I would spend, and honestly, it would never probably be this good because I would have made it out of sheet metal. I had a little bit of concern about sheet metal cracking. I cannot imagine any circumstance in the world that would cause this tank to crack. So anyway, with that, because it did arrive, that brought our weekly total to $12.99 on the week. Our previous total was $42.38.32. So our current build tally is $5,537.32. So if you're following along with this, that's our build tally. We have almost nothing, it seems, but lots of pieces and parts are starting to come together, and hopefully next week we'll have these spacers finished machined, and we'll have our whole entire front end assembly complete, where we can start taking measurements and figuring out our frame jig setup, so we can start setting up to figure out about making the frame. So I'll explain more in detail how I do that when we go to do it. I have a process I use. I don't know if it's the process most people use. It's sort of just what makes logical sense to me as the way to do it. So that's where we're at. If you're wondering why I'm making this video, you probably didn't listen to the intro, but I'm going to continue on making these videos for as long as I can, and not worry about the financial ramifications of it at this point, and hopefully in the long run it'll pay off. I don't know, that's how I've treated everything in life. This shop went through a period of time where I thought I should shut it down. We weren't making any money. It was just, you know, a horrible economic time in the country, 2008, 2009 there. And we pressed through and came out the other side. So hopefully this this energy and effort that's put into this YouTube and making all these videos and stuff will do the same one day. So anyway, as always, I appreciate you guys being here, spending a little time with us, and hope you enjoy what we do. So I'm out of here, and I hope to see you next time at Gattis Garage.